So right now we are in a be a responsible person era, which is sad. And I think we need to move past that. But if you are developing a model and you want it to be safe, you want to be responsible, you want to make your product high quality, safe, test it, evaluate it.
Be responsible. That's Elizabeth Seger's blunt assessment of where AI regulation currently is. No binding requirements, no enforcement, just hope that developers do the right thing. I mean, the EU AI Act does exist. California did pass a transparency bill, but that's tiny compared to what AI has done over the last few years, and the trajectory is less regulation, not more. The US tried to pass a ban on all AI regulation for 10 years. The government vetoed that, but the direction is clear. Frontier AI safety, so that's testing requirements, release restrictions on new models, that's not the headline. Informal case-by-case regulation, that's more the direction we're going in, and if you're building, you need to know what those cases are.
So there's a couple different, there's various kinds of regulation that apply to AI. There's AI regulation, which is just like people trying to develop regulation to apply specifically to all and any AI systems. A lot of it pertains more to frontier AI systems, large language models and stuff, but there's AI specific regulation. And then there is other regulation that happens to apply to AI. Both of these exist. So like in the UK, a lot of the Online Safety Act work that's happening right now, a lot of it doesn't apply directly to AI. It's all about social media platforms and content moderation, but there are overlaps. What algorithms are used for ranking, a lot of implications for the use of deepfakes to produce false, misleading, and harmful information. You can produce illegal information, images, content, with deepfakes if it is intended to cause harm for specific people. And that is a form of AI regulation. And I think we'll see that conversation definitely continuing on. There is a lot of momentum around the online safety debate, especially as it pertains to harms to children and abuse of politicians. So we're seeing a lot of bills out of various states in the US that have stipulations for things like AI bot relationships, emotional relationships, AI companion regulation, regulation around basically like trying to put warning. He's like trying to put like sort of like a smoking sticker on a smoking cigarette pack, but like on these companion type things, being like, oh, you've been on this for 3 hours. You have to click away this thing that covers 75% of your screen to acknowledge that you still want to be talking to this thing. So like we're seeing these kinds of regulations. And then in California, some really good regulations specifically around content provenance, being like, if you are a company that is providing these services where you can produce images, you have to watermark that, or you have to embed data that makes it easy to track what the source of this content was for verification purposes. The AI safety regulation, the forcing companies to do their model testing and to be transparent about it and to not release models openly if certain risks are found, that I think is what is definitely under threat.
So there are two tracks, and if you're building AI or building with AI, you're going to need to be aware of the requirements and also aware of where they do and where they don't apply. For example, California requires content provenance. That's watermarking and embedded data to verify sources. States are passing rules on AI companions, emotional manipulation, harms to children. That momentum isn't stopping. However, the initial fear, regulating for AGI and frontier AI safety, as testing requirements and transparency about the risks and restrictions on releasing dangerous models, that's becoming less of a thing.
Of course, we have this constant dialogue coming out of the US from the Trump administration. First, it was about how they were going to ban all AI regulation federally for the next 10 years. No one was going to be allowed to regulate AI. That got a unanimous veto across the House, both sides. But now the new thing is not banning AI regulation, but the federal government is going to put forward a single piece of AI regulation that will apply across the board, no matter what, and will probably be quite permissive. I don't know what's going on with that. But we're seeing good stuff coming out of states, but there is that battle going between the federal and state level. I was reading this morning about how McDonald's tried to do an ad campaign, some Christmas ad campaign thing, and they used AI generated video for it, and the backlash they got, and people were just like, "No, this is not okay." And so I do wonder if there's like it all doesn't matter. Like people are just going to be like, "I want organic advertisements." I don't know. Like, I do wonder if there's going to be some weird, like, sociological spin that happens on this, where we just get this demand for the real thing. I get really annoyed when people are like, "Oh, well, content provenance isn't the solution because it's too easy to remove," or "Media literacy isn't the solution because some people aren't going to learn and they're still going to get faked." And it's like, well, yes, which is why you need all of it. People need to know how to appraise information better. We need the content watermarking and content provenance technologies. Social media platforms have to be responsible for the content that they are hosting and have to have requirements on the moderation and on identifying what information is fake and not. Like, we can come at this from many different angles, and that's the only way we're going to start making a dent.
So if you're building a generative system or product, these requirements really matter. Can your system be misused? Can the probabilistic nature of your system cause unintended consequences? Can your logging prove a user's actions? Here's the legal problem with AI. Traditional laws require intent. But if a chatbot produces false content, who intended that harm? The model doesn't have intent, and the company didn't write that specific output. The user might not even have known what they'd get. Our legal frameworks weren't really built for probabilistic systems. Content provenance, watermarking, media literacy, none of these alone is enough. As Elizabeth points out, you need all of them.
The let's all just be good people thing really has worked out well through history. So right now we are in a be a responsible person era, which is sad. I think we need to move past that. But if you are developing a model and you want it to be safe, you want to be responsible, you want to make your product high quality, safe, test it, evaluate it. It's just clean your training data. Don't scrape the web and train it on the world of the internet. The internet has shady stuff on it. Clean your training data. If you don't want it to produce child porn, don't have child porn in your data set. Like, this is the place to start. There are, back to open source, some really great open source safety frameworks, tools, and benchmarks that are out there. So let's see, Singapore has started a big open source project called AI Verify, which provides a bunch of safety frameworks and tools that are open source to use. Roost is more of a Europe-based one. Again, an open source repository of these different kinds of safety tools and benchmarks that can be used. So there is support out there for doing this. I think that as these products start to hit the ground and people are using them and they're getting used in more and more critical applications at the interface of our everyday lives, there is going to be a higher demand for wanting to know that the products you're using, the products that are being put to you as a consumer, are safe, are reliable, are going to be processing your data in a safe way, all of those things. And I think there's going to be a growing market for an AI assurance industry. It's going to be a great economic opportunity for companies that will build up just around the service of, hey, you might not have the internal expertise to do all of your own testing, but we will provide it for you. So imagine you're a company that's like, you know what? I really want to adopt open source because I don't want to dish out all this money to these proprietary models. And I like the idea of having control over it, but I have no idea with what I'm doing with testing and maintaining. What if you could adopt an open source model, but pay another company to help do that testing and maintaining for you? And you split it. So I think we're going to get that whole emergence over there of an AI safety ecosystem. And I think we'll see that regardless of what happens with regulation on the frontier. And that is, I'm going to end on that positive note.